Hi, I'm Jas Obrecht, and welcome to my Talking Guitar podcast featuring part two of my July 14th, 1987 interview with Eddie Van Halen and Sammy Hagar. If you haven't already heard it, I recommend that you first listen to part one, which is also available on YouTube as part of my Talking Guitar channel. As I mentioned in my intro to part one, the following conversation came down on the back porch of Sammy's spacious home in Mill Valley, California. In my past interviews with Eddie Van Halen, such as in 1978, 79, and 80, Eddie was always really forthcoming and talkative with me. But on this interview with Sammy Hagar, there comes a moment where Sammy criticizes Eddie for being drunk during one of his onstage solos. And when Sammy said this, I could see Eddie kind of rear back in his chair, and he became less talkative after that. So even though they'd only recorded 5150 so far in Sammy's solo album, I could already see the beginnings of tensions forming between these two gentlemen. Anyways, without any further ado, here's part two. Hope you enjoy it. From both of your careers, do any songs stick out in your mind where the solos were particularly hard?
This guy probably more than me, man. I never played anything that hard, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Or have you ever had a case where you could never do better than your first solo off the cuff?
Most of my solos are all kind of just winging it different, you know. It's like, I remember when we were doing 5150, I don't know which solo it was, but I was standing there with Mick and Don, and I called you guys in. Well, what do you think of this one? What do you think of that one? You know, I just let these guys pick.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
This guy, everything he plays is tough. Because, you know, anything he plays is honestly, it's great. You know, it's not just good, it's great. And you go, well, shit, I wonder if he can do better, you know.
So
but you don't know.
some more. I go, you guys pick, man. I like them all. You know?
Yeah, you don't know where to draw the line as a producer with this guy. Me and Mick were like, Don? Don, you know this guy. Can he do better?
Did it take long to record your album?
No. God, man.
All the basic tracks in what, 4 days? Something like that?
Yeah, it seemed like we took a long time because we kept taking a month off. We did
we worked 3 days, take a month off.
we did basic tracks intentionally this way because we wanted to use certain studios, number one, and we wanted to really, there was no hurry on the record, so we weren't going to do something and then 6 months later go, God, I wish we'd done this or done that.
Yeah.
So we did the basic tracks, took 3 weeks off and said, do we want to recut anything or, you know, do this, do that? And then went in, did all the overdubs in about 2 weeks max, I'd say.
It took about 3 weeks, didn't it? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then took another month off before we mixed it. Well, are we finished overdubbing? Do we want to do anything else? And no, we don't. Went in and mixed it a song a day. So it took less than that, actually.
Including mixing, it took about 4 weeks.
Yeah. Real quick.
Huh. In the song Back to You, is there an acoustic guitar during the solo off to the right channel?
No. There's just some keyboard parts. That song's got the most overdubs in any song on the record. That section has, God dang, man. It's probably 224 tracks full for that section. The rest of the song, you know, one guitar, bass, and drums and vocal. But that section is whoo, that's where Albie is. Albie's in there. It's about 4 percussion.
Yeah, you got those great crunch rhythms too.
Yeah, that's got a good sound.
That is so funny.
Yeah, man. They're so clean. His sounds were so clean that you could practically turn them off in the track and you could still hear them. You had to put them so far back because they were so clean. It's so weird that
the solo's pulled back a little bit.
We redid it too. It was way back because I wanted to.
We kind of liked it like that, but for kind of a subliminal thing.
Yeah.
We wanted the percussion to stick out.
If you wanted the solo to stick out, what would you have done differently?
Dried it up a little bit, made it louder.
I wanted Omar's part to be. I thought his drumming was so incredible that you can't have everything playing lead. So we kind of split the difference between half drum solo, half guitar solo.
It was the bass in Privacy recorded differently. It's got a more prominent sound. It seems like it has more presence.
Yeah, because it's the way we mixed it. Because remember, that song was built around that bass lick. When I wrote that song, I was trying to play a lick on the keyboards at my house, and I was trying to play. I can't play keyboard. I'm the worst. That's one instrument I can't play, and so I didn't have a bass there, and so I had this idea. This field radar love, So I'm thinking, it's built around a bass line. So I was trying to come up with a bass line, and that melody was not what I was trying to play. Edward added a couple notes to it here and there, but I was trying to play on the keyboard. I was actually trying to play like
Right.
And it's like I couldn't kick it. Like Edward kick it on the keys. I couldn't go dun 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 dun. I was going dun 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 dun. Man, it was like, whoa, man. After a while, it was hypnotic on the demo I made of it. And so, but because it was built around a bass, I remember we tried even a couple basses, and you tried different sounds, messing around with it, because, that bass sound has to sound good on a small speaker, which is hard to get bass sound like that, because it's really carrying the tune. There's nothing happening but bass and drums and vocal.
What's the origin of your interest in old-time slide?
Not really anything. That slap slide, I had that when I joined Montrose, and Ronnie, he first heard that thing, plugged it into a stack of Marshalls or something. Whoa, man, because that thing's really ballsy, good sound, and big fat strings on it, and open tuning and everything. So I used it back then, and every time I used to jam with it, like Eddie talks about when he saw me the first time. My first audition for a record deal after I left Montrose was at the Starwood in L.A., and Eddie happened to be in the audience. And he's always commenting when I sit out in front of the drum riser, because there's nowhere else to sit on that goddamn stage, man. It was like there was no room. So I had to sit down to do the intro to Bad Boys Goodies, just jam around on it. The sound is real inspiring when you just plug it in and just wail, and you get them high notes that you can't get on guitar. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I'm not like an old lap slide blues freak or nothing,
Do you damp behind the slide or with your fingers?
Yeah.
Stop the strings from ringing?
I was just trying to think,
You have to.
Do you finger pick too? Or
No.
Pick?
No, I use his pick. And just mainly make noise with the goddamn thing. It's like a really good noise maker. It's hard to play in key. Man, slide is really tough. I envy, guys like, Dwayne Allman, those guys, and Lowell George, you could pull them high notes, man. Just just hit them. Man, it's tough. That's the hardest part about slide. That's what Eddie was always on my case about. I said, man, I can't play this thing that good. There's the frets, you can't see them. There's none, there's just these marks, and trying to have the tuning right and be in pitch.
Slide
tough.
a little bit. Was it on Women and Children or something?
It's different on a guitar, though.
Yeah.
That's tough for me, too.
Because the strings are that far off from the frets.
Yeah.
There ain't no
can't
frets,
see the
lines.
You don't know where the fuck you're at. On a guitar, you're right on top of them, so it's easy.
Will you be doing any of the songs from your album in concert, do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I would think like Hammer or something like that would be kind of
I
perfect.
wouldn't mind doing the Eagles or something.
Yeah.
Would there ever be a chance of maybe Eddie playing bass on a song? You playing slide or something like that?
Hey, Mike, you want to go wait out in the bus?
For that.
Mike, you want to go wait out in the bus?
Yeah.
For a couple of
Mike,
songs?
we don't need you this tour.
No, I didn't mean that.
No, I mean, there'd be no
Actually,
point,
Mike plays a little keyboards. That's one thing that this band, they could totally switch around.
Yeah.
Everybody can play a little bit of each thing except for me on keys.
What about Alex?
Yeah,
Alex
he
plays
plays
good
keys.
keyboards.
Yeah.
He's pretty accomplished.
Wasn't he originally a guitar player?
No, yeah. Well, originally keyboard player, just like me.
Huh.
We both started playing piano. We were really young.
I'd like to talk about how you collaborate on songs a little bit, how they start out, what you bring to each other.
You mean in Van Halen?
Yeah.
Because on Sammy's record, he wrote everything.
And you work from cassettes or?
When I write,
Yeah,
I just put an idea down on cassettes and then hone it down. Sometimes the whole song comes, sometimes it's a little part, and finish it up later. I swear, no system. And the stupidest thing is every time I write lyrics by themselves, I never end up using them for the song. I always have to write the music first. I can never adapt music to lyrics. I've only done that maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I've never tried that myself.
That's real hard. That's why I said to you a couple times. I said, man, we've never done that way either. Eddie approaches me at the music, And it's much easier to write lyrics once you come up with a melody or something. But I thought about giving him some lyrics because I've got some great, what I think are great lyrics that you just sit on, you write something on its own with nothing in mind, just poetry. You don't even have to rhyme, just a statement. And some of my best stuff, has never been put to music. I thought, I'd like to go through it and just see if he can do it. Because Eddie a lot of times comes up with melodies too. He doesn't just.
Valerie was saying Eddie's got all sorts of tapes to him just with melodies in it too.
He's like Love Walks In. I mean, that's an amazing melody.
That's a great song.
When I heard that, I thought, whoa, man, you don't need a singer on this song, man. That's a piece of music.
When you heard it on without lyrics?
Yeah, just the piano. He just had a. Oh, it was beautiful.
Do you remember when that song came to you, Eddie?
Shit, I don't know.
I've got a great tape of you. You called me up once from Kentucky years ago. You said, "Hey, man, I just got a keyboard and I want you to hear this riff I made up." And you played it over the phone, and it's the riff from Jump, like 2 or 3 years. A long time before the song ever came out. I forgot about it.
Yeah, I wrote that song about 4 years before it came out.
Yeah, that's pretty special.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been a trip for you when you heard it.
Well, I forgot about it, and someone wanted to hear what you sounded like, so I loaned him a cassette, and he said, "Man, he plays Jump on there." I said, "Yeah, let's hear it."
That's pretty far out. Yeah. He must have been really fucked up when he called you, right? 4 o'clock in the morning? No?
No, it wasn't 4 in the morning. It was about 1980, 79, 81, somewhere in there.
Oh, I thought.
It's a long time ago.
What time is that? Nice. It must have been like 4 in the morning, probably. Where was he when he called you? You were on the West Coast?
You were in Kentucky. I was in California.
See, it probably was for him. 1 o'clock for you. It was 4 for him.
It was after the show, I think. After sound check, after good.
I'm always getting this shit because, man, this guy, every time if he ever gets really fucked up, he always calls me. That's when he calls you in the middle of the night. Hey, man, did I wake you up? Good. All right. See you later. Well, I got this idea. I said, okay, well, it'll still be there tomorrow. Now, 5150, actually, he called me in New York in the middle of the night. Yeah. We were in New York City.
5150 was the song.
Yeah, and he was playing, Dad, I was like, and okay, just listen to this song. I'm going, oh, come on. Man.
Over the phone?
Yeah. And it was about 2 or 3 in the morning, in the next room. I mean, we're just right down the hall, right? So he goes, da-da-da-da-da-da. I go, wow, yeah. I come right down, man. I'm not kidding you. That was another piece of guitar music that blew my mind. How much, if you just listen to the guitar part of that song from beginning to end, it's like really, really a piece of work. That was a real tough one also to come up with, not stepping in the way, to come with the right lyric that was sparse enough and stay out of the way of that good melody on that guitar, man. Because that's not the verses, the bridge and the chorus. God, I mean, the verse is great, like too, but the chorus, man. It's like, man, it's like, whoa. It blew my mind when he played me that over the phone. I'm telling you right now.
Did any of the songs come together really fast?
Everything did.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. The hardest song, goddamn, was probably Dreams. Because it was last, and I was stuck, man, for lyrics. Drove me crazy, man. Mick was being real picky on that because that was the only song he was sort of involved with.
Everything else is done already.
And Mick, as we all know, can take a couple years on a record. Well, he was determined to take a couple years on Dreams, I thought, for a while there. I kept coming up with these melodies to sing. That was another one that was tough to sing because the melody was so good on the keyboard. It was like a piece all by itself. And I didn't want to sing with him, dun, 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 dun. I could have sang right with him, like Love Walks In. I just sang right with the melody.
Right.
But on that one, I didn't want to do that. And that one was kind of tough to get going. And Mick was being so goddamn picky, but thank God he did because the lyrics just finally came. Yeah, boy, I had a million different ideas for that one. Really? Oh, couple songs. I had 5 or 6 different lyrics per song. I can write lyrics like like
we had
crazy.
A couple other songs too.
Yeah. I had about 5 set of lyrics. So none of them were any good. We still haven't come up. That one never got done because lack of lyric.
Do you remember the instant when you created Love Walks In?
No.
Playing a piano.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's an inspired piece of music. I can tell you right now. I don't know when it came. It was before I even met the guy, but that was an inspired piece of music. He don't know where that came from. You don't know where it came from. I don't know where it came from. It's like one of them things that you just comes out of you, and a real probably full moon. You know, everything was right. Because man, that's an
90%
inspired
of what
piece
it
of
come up
music.
with, though. I don't know where now it comes from.
Yeah.
Do you know a winning lick when you hear it? I mean, are there sometimes when you play something?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, that's it, and you know it.
Well, what do you mean by that's it?
Well,
I mean, I know if I like it.
You just
when I go, yeah, if I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else is gonna like it.
Were there any songs on 5150 you were unsure of?
In what way? I mean, public acceptance?
Whether or not you should put it on the album?
No.
I'd say the same thing. You know, if there were any song that maybe you'd say, wow, you know, why did you put that on there? The song Inside, but we didn't have any doubts about doing it, but that was only kind of goof off.
Yeah.
And that's a cool piece of music too. I mean, it's a real good feel.
There's a point to it.
Yeah. So, very unusual the way we did it. If you ever heard that 24-track mix of that with everything up, I think it'd have been more interesting if they just let it all go. They spent days trying to mix that thing, trying to get pieces out and bring up parts here and there. But we jammed all the way through it, rapping. The four of us, each guy had a mic.
Yeah.
And we just talked shit, told jokes, talked to each other, talked to ourselves.
Right. It was great.
All the way through it.
Man. It didn't all come out, you know. It would have been funny.
I think it would have been great just to have it completely chaotic, you know.
Huh. Do you think there'll come a time when Van Halen will be a two-guitar band, like full whack, where you're both playing most of the songs?
I don't.
No.
Do you see yourself playing more keyboards eventually?
Playing pretty much a lot now. You know. It's like 4 of the songs on the record are keyboard.
What's involved with maintaining your skill, Sammy, on guitar?
Just having the incentive and the inspiration to practice. You know, I usually use the guitar. I never was one of them hard practicers. I just used guitar to write songs on, and I kind of developed my chops live and at rehearsals. I'm worse than Eddie about never playing the same thing twice. I never play the same solo twice. You know, I'm always winging. You know, and that's how I keep my chops up. That's the only way. And my chops aren't always up. Sometimes when I don't play for a couple of weeks, I play better when I first pick it up. You know, there's all kinds of weird stuff. You know, it's like I say, I'm an expressionist. You know,
what's that thing? Yeah.
If I'm jacked out of my mind, it's the only time I might have trouble. If my chops aren't up, because if I'm really keyed up and start trying to, yeah, exactly. But other than that, you know, I just try to express a mood, how I feel at the time, and I can usually do that. You know. Speaking of the two guitar band, that's an interesting thing because see, I really feel that Van Halen is like Eddie is like a Jimi Hendrix type guitar player. He uses weird tunings. He's never up the pitch, and he's always in a different, you know, you have to tune by ear to this guy, you know. There's all these things that, yeah.
I never use a strobe tuner, no.
Yeah, he just picks a guitar up and...
Pick up a guitar and tune it to whatever it is, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's to try to play guitar with him is really difficult, you know, unless it's a real simple tune. But a Van Halen type song, an Eddie Van Halen guitar song, does not call for two guitars. If it did, he'd probably come up with two great parts. And unless we do something intentionally, it's like a song that maybe we just put a guitar jam in it or something. I could play lead with him on a record, but to do two distinct guitar parts, it's sort of uncalled for. I like being a singer in this band. I think that's where that's what it's about. You know, and I'm not one of the guys that has to play guitar. I got off playing guitar on my record. I got to admit, you know, I was getting off. But I don't feel this great, unbelievable need to play enough guitar to keep me happy, because on stage I do. I get enough.
Yeah. Eddie, are there drawbacks to being as influential a guitar player as people look at you as?
Isn't he a terrible interview?
No, he's a great interview.
He goes, But when in writing, all your questions are this big, and his are yes, no. Mm-mm.
What do you want me to say?
Yeah, man, I'm just
I know there's some guys like Clapton who just get really tired of always being under the microscope, and they love having another guy in the band who can solo, like when Eric took Albert Lee on the road with them. Guys like that, they just...
That doesn't really bother me.
And yet you don't...
Fuck you.
Oh man, it's funny.
Eddie, one answer, Van Halen, one word answer.
Oh man.
Can you offer any tips?
It was a heavy question to me. You know, I'm listening to this singing it.
It's not going to be a heavy answer, though.
No.
I don't know what the fuck to say. No. I don't think about it, really.
Yeah. I can tell.
He's gonna start asking a question like that. He's gonna go, well.
Well, I don't know.
You don't play guitar much anymore.
Well, I haven't really sat down and got into that mode of writing for Van Halen yet, you know. I'll pick up guitar and really dive into it, kind of put my mind into that thing in September. I haven't really picked up guitar since we got off tour. Played a lot of bass and piano.
Have you ever had occasions where you discovered a sound that inspired a song?
Why can't this be love? Maybe. I mean, that's pretty much a sound.
Yeah, but I mean, I programmed the sound to get the song.
I thought that was the guitar until I saw.
I know everybody did. Ted Nugent called me up and said, "Man, what the hell is Eddie doing on that guitar now?"
It sounded like a distortion with a touch of wow or something.
I never thought that. But
it's a cool sound. I think it's real unique. Every guitar player I know has said to me at some point, you know, what the hell, man? How did he get that guitar sound?
I guess back to my other question about being regarded so much, if you feel like you have to protect your reputation. I'll give you an example. I had a strange thing. Someone called me yesterday from the Star, some sleazy magazine in the supermarket, and offered me money to call them up after this interview and give them my impressions of what you look like and if you're doing drugs and drinking and shit like that. That's never happened to me before. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, it must be awful to be under that kind of microscope or have people hounding your friends for tips.
It bothers my wife more than bothers me.
Yeah.
You know what? Whether you take the money or not is your business, but you should call them up and tell them because
I thought maybe Eddie and I could get a story together and then give it to him and then split the money together.
Because, you know, there's what they're wanting. They're wanting dirt, and as you can see, there is none. So it's like it'd be nice to come up and say, God, man, it's healthy, looking good.
That's what I said.
Smoked 3 packs of cigarettes in the last 2 hours.
Fuck, I had 3 cigarettes.
Great way to ruin your reputation, you know. I
squealed on
Eddie Van Halen.
Go ahead and call him.
No, hey, Eddie's right. Eddie's looking good, man. It's the healthiest he's been since I've known him. I think it's great.
Let's see. Any other questions we have to cover? Oh, yeah. During your solo, Eddie, I noticed in the movie that you were doing something new with tapping where you're using a couple of fingers tapping on various lengths of the string. Uh-huh. Do you have to hit a certain place on the string to get the harmonics, or at that volume will they come out anywhere?
No. You got to hit them in a certain place.
You weren't.
Give me a guitar. I'll show you where. I can't explain.
Do you learn that stuff by doing it over and over again until you get it right?
Yeah.
Does it just happen to you?
Well, if you start with the octave,
right?
You know, they're all in the same place. So if you're playing an E from E, they're in the same place. If you move up to G from an octave, they're in the same place. You know, they're all relative in an octave thing. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure. So can you get them anywhere along the string?
Anywhere, yeah.
Is that a guitar neck?
What's that?
Drew a guitar neck
depending on what key you're playing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you couldn't, if you're playing an E and you hit one, you know, you have to know where to hit it in the key of E. You can't just hit the string anywhere and get it harmonic.
Are you aware of what other guys are doing with that technique?
No, not really.
Like people who do it with all their fingers? Or,
no.
Do either of you keep up on what's happening with the hot young guitar stars?
No.
Up and coming guys?
Anytime I hear somebody that I like, I'm more interested in that stuff than Eddie is, I think. But
I've never really been interested. Sammy's always calling me up. Hey, you heard this song? You heard that? And I go, no. Huh?
Have you ever heard like Yngwie, for instance?
I heard maybe a little piece of a song on the radio once.
Driving in my car.
Nothing really bothers me today.
You told me. Well, I remember you distinctly. You once said imitation's the high. They say imitation's the.
Well, that's what my brother always tells me. It used to bother me a little bit.
So that's a crock of bullshit.
Yeah, well, it used to bother me. When kids would do, kids. I was a kid. So I'm a kid. When people would do my thing, I guess it bothered me more when they played like my melodies almost,
Yeah.
The technique's there for anybody to use. But I don't know. It doesn't really bother me anymore.
Are there any players that either of you are excited about now? Young people you bumped into, or
I haven't really heard anybody.
I like say I'm not into the players as much as just the songwriters. I'll hear a great song by some band, and I'll go out and buy the album, just check it out, and then sometimes you bump into a good guitar player, on the record or something. But like right now, it seems like there's not any one that really shines. There's a few individuals that you got to praise for being individuals. The Edge. He's got his own style. Steve Stevens.
Steve Winwood. Just as a musician, I like.
Yeah. I was talking guitar players.
Steve Stevens is good.
Yeah, because he's unique. He's not playing. He's not trying to rip somebody off and stuff. Those are the guys that I always like. I like Billy Gibbons. He's just a real good traditional guitar player. Of course, Clapton's still playing great. He hasn't played any different for years, but he still plays great, which is unique in itself to keep the fire that long.
You have the somehow had the ability to go back in time and jam with anyone who's ever played. Is there anyone you'd like to meet or experience music with?
I'm playing with Mozart.
I saw Amadeus and thought of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was doing the little piano stuff.
He was a funny dude, man. I would have loved to know him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I gotta say, I would like to have known John Lennon as a songwriter, just as a human being. He's always been kind of a hero to me.
For you, songwriting seems to be the main thing.
It really is. I take that. That was as much as the musicianship in Van Halen. Eddie's songwriting abilities to collaborate with him was a big deal for me, because I thrive on that. I want to write in my life, whether it be with 10 other people or by myself or however. I want to be involved in a great song that'll be around forever. Not for the ego trip, but because I know that would get me off, that if I can do something that good, be involved in it, that it'll make me feel good.
What about you, Ed?
I was digging off. What's the question? I was watching it.
What's the best reward in your line of work?
Just being able to make music, man, having fun. The feeling we have when people are coming up to the house and hearing the new stuff before it was on the radio. Like people such as yourself, coming up to the house when we were blowing them away with the new stuff.
Yeah.
Man, that was jazz.
Yeah.
Especially when people like it. Fuck, there's no feeling like it.
Is the best time the time when you're on stage?
I like every aspect of it. I like in the studio, as much as live. Live sometimes gets a little tiring,
Yeah, a long tour. It gets pretty tough.
Well, you have to play the same songs. You got to play your new album. Sometimes you don't feel like playing a new album. You feel like playing something else.
But a good night on stage.
Oh yeah,
a magical night on stage is pretty damn.
Was the concert in New Haven like that? The one they filmed?
It was average.
It was average. It really was. I mean, that was right towards the end of that leg too. We were pretty damn tired.
So we were supposed to have 2 nights of filming. Well, we didn't. We only had 1 night. It's the first night, all the equipment, everything fucked up.
It was real bad news.
Was that a stock? Was that a concert back to back when you order it happened?
I don't remember.
Just about. They edited a few things
cut a bunch
out
of stuff out
because it was too. We played about 2.5 hours, so you had to buy 2 tapes. So we edited it down to 1.5 hours, I guess, or whatever it is. But
About an hour out. Yeah.
It was pretty much. It wasn't quite the running order though. I think they switched a couple tunes because of editing that it made. Like Love Walks In back to back with Dreams, or they took Dreams out. So there are little things here and there, but pretty much the way it happened. There certainly weren't many fixes on that thing.
I noticed during the part where you were up on the thing overhead, you broke a string or something.
Yeah, change guitars.
Yeah. Does the trans trem go out of tune or the Floyd Rose?
Yeah, it's just totally out of whack.
Either of them?
Floyd Rose, mine doesn't because I have mine set down flush with the wood, Mine's kind of floating. But the trans trem's floating, so you pop a string, I think it goes wacko.
What do you do in a case like that? Play it on one string? Or?
Yeah, try, but usually every string is out of tune. So you just kind of bend one, Here's
my guitar.
That's right. That was in '55. I remember hearing you playing some old one-note things. I'm going down. But Edward trying to play bass on guitar.
Do you ever play shows with just one guitar?
I used to. See, some songs have special tunings. And like say for
5150s.
No,
in D.
Yeah, that one. And
it's an open D or drop down to a D.
The low E's down to D. It's a lot easier to
just change.
And actually, the whole guitar is down to D, and the low E, which is already down to D, is down even lower to a C.
C.
Yeah.
Well,
I got heavy strings on it. But
is that what the Steinberger?
Good enough.
Oh yeah.
Good enough. I use a bass A string for low E, tuned an octave lower than the A string on the guitar. That's why that has fat sound.
So you have another guitar just for that song?
Yeah.
What do you like about Kramer? You've been with him for several years now. Huh?
Well, they were pretty much an underdog, company back then. Now they make great guitars. That's what I wanted to do, was help them out.
Do you play the Farrington ever?
Yeah, I used it on Dreams in the beginning.
Have you tried the Ripley?
I got a Ripley.
Is that a good one?
I've never played it. I've never used one live. On Top Jimmy back in 1984 on that album, I used Ripley. Strings, everything's pinging back and forth. If you wear headphones, sounds cool.
Yeah. Sammy, have you ever experimented with a guitar synth?
Yeah, I used to, when it first came out, the Roland synthesizer guitar, I had one. I used to use it even in concert, and I never used it on a record. But
oh, you used that guitar, didn't you?
Yeah, I did on Hands and Knees.
Oh, no.
I think it was on Hands and Knees. I used a clean. No, you're. I forget what song.
Roland synth.
Yeah, with just the regular pickup.
Just the guitar part,
without the synths broke. but I used to use that because I don't play keyboards at all. So when I used to make demos, I used to always use it just to get the old string sound, ching, But yeah, it's kind of cheesy sound, I don't like mixing it up, Guitars don't sound right through keyboards with those kind of sounds, and keyboards don't sound right when they try to get guitar sounds.
Yeah.
So.
Do you run do you just have the one keyboard synth on stage?
Yeah.
Do you run it through your rack?
Well, I use Kurzweil to trigger the MIDI to the OV8s.
Oh, I see.
So everything I play on, I trigger all the keyboards through the Kurzweil. I have like 4 OV8s underneath the stage.
But everything's basically direct down. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Cleaner that way. We got enough leakage on that stage.
I guess Al's monitors. Everything comes through his monitors back into the drum mic. So
I had this sound man.
Does Al hear himself back on monitors?
Yeah. He's a Simmons.
His monitors are a normal PA. He's got a PA behind him.
PA system. Yeah.
Telling you, it's the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life.
135 dB or something like that. They took a
2.5 hours of that. I don't see how that man can walk afterwards. It throws your equilibrium.
I'm surprised how he can hear anything.
Oh, he wears cotton.
Hey.
Oh, he does?
Yeah,
but that doesn't help much.
Plus, hey, let me tell you about Al. It's like, if we're doing this interview, he's like this.
What?
And you'll say something, and Edward will say something, and he'll go, no, take it totally wrong, right? He's like, oh, hey, Al, that isn't what he said. Oh, sorry, I thought you said...
Have you ever had ringing in your ears the next day? Or?
Oh, God, yeah.
It takes about a month after a tour.
Sure.
It really does.
I'm still hearing ringing now.
Oh, that's the pool leaking in. I mean, the jacuzzi going into the pool.
Left ear, man.
Well, let me hear.
Yeah. I see.
Yeah, shit.
Well,
damn it! I was gonna say something too, man. I already screwed me all up there.
Yeah.
About playing at high volume?
Yeah, but no. Oh no, I was gonna say about Dan Barr, my old sound guy, who's with me for 7 years. Did my live sound. I thought he was great. You know, I always thought I sounded good live. People used to say, "Wow, you know, you guys really sounded good this building. Almost band sound badness and that." You know, so
Yeah, I'd love to used to pay those people.
yeah, maybe that was it. But DB's technician, really, you know, real capable guy. You know, and he worked for Tom Scholes before this. You know, that's only negative. Oh no, sorry, Tom. No, Tom does everything so weird. Like you said about
you
low
were
volume.
badmouthing Schultz 9 years ago.
Yeah, well, God, you treated me like shit, asshole.
He
He was standing ripping off my fucking solo note for note. And then he wouldn't even say hi.
You've never forgotten that, have you?
Huh?
You've never forgotten that.
Well, since you just bring it up, I guess.
That's probably the worst part of people ripping you off, I would think, is when they don't acknowledge it. It's like, I used to always say, it's like, hey, if I stole shit from Eddie, it'd be like stealing his car and then driving it back to his house and saying, hey, man, check out my new ride.
Yeah.
I mean, that's practically what some of these guys
That's
do,
the way
man.
I do look at it.
Some
So
hotshot
somebody's
guitars.
car and then pull into the front door and go, what do you think of my new car?
Right.
It's actually mine, you know.
It's like some of these hot shots. That's what they do, man. They come up to Eddie. Hey, yeah, well, check this lick out I learned. You know, and he goes, oh yeah, isn't that from Jump? You know. But anyway, so DB, he came into Van Halen as our sound man. You know.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He couldn't do it. It was like after a couple months on the road, he couldn't do it. We had to bring in other guys. It's a hard band to mix live, Van Halen is, because everyone plays so loud on stage. You have no control. He goes, man, I try to bring the snare drum up,
Everything else
and it's all I get is guitar, you know, because Alex has got Eddie's guitar so loud in his stuff, so he can hear the cues. It's like it's really
a sad
bizarre.
case, man.
It's practically impossible. So anytime you can go direct, it's like sound man's going, oh, thank God.
What's the little thing you wear? What kind
Microphone.
of mic is it? What kind is it?
Some Shure mic. I've tried a bunch of different ones. What's happening, dude, man?
I have to go. I'm going to see Cozy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in 10 years. Oh, she lives over in Walnut Creek.
Okay, so what? Chris got to move his car?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll just let you know what I'm doing.
Be cool, brother, man.
Okay, I'll be back later on tonight.
Right on. All right, see you later.
Sammy, if somebody wanted to put together a retrospective album of the best of Sammy Hagar pre this album,
Yeah.
do you have any cuts that you'd want to have on
They
it?
did do one in England, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, and it's pretty good. There's one called Looking Back that I picked them. So,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I would say John Colodry and myself. It's pretty good. But it actually excludes Capitol, though, doesn't it? So, and there are a few Capitol cuts that I would like to recut.
What are the songs on there?
A song
The
like
ones that come
Rock
to
and Roll
mind?
Weekend and Cruising and Boozing, to me, man, those are like classic party, teenage, get in the car and
American
drive down the
anthems.
street. That's right, And I'm proud of those songs. A lot of people think they're silly, goofy songs, but they're a la 55, just and Privacy, they're all the same kind of songs. And I pride myself in writing them kind of songs. I came from that place, and I can remember right now, as easy as any time in my life, of being in a car in a summer afternoon, 4 or 5 guys, a couple of chicks, or whatever you can squeeze in there, cruising down the road and having a good time at night on a hot summer night. It's like, I'll never forget those times in my life, and I can write about them, and I like writing about them because I know people are still doing it today.
Get down on you for writing songs like that.
Yeah,
that is fucking part of life.
Some of these chumps, I guess they never did that. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I
guess
did.
nowadays people don't have fun anymore. I don't know.
But it's I'd redo some of those songs.
You're gonna have to redo I Can't Drive 65.
Shit, man,
I want to drive
it doesn't
180.
do us any good. Eddie and I, we're still in trouble, man.
Yeah.
It's like, that 10 mile an hour, all that does is make it tougher on you, because now you go 68 and they bust you. Used to,
70, 75.
But Van Halen's an impossible band to mix.
Good mix.
Yeah, the poor sound guys that have to mix Van Halen, they're in trouble. Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
It's had a good longevity, though. Still feel like a family?
Oh yeah, more so now, never.
What's the essential thing for keeping a band together? What are the things that guys just getting into it might not think about? I mean,
Pretty heart's got to be in it.
what is about as far as working with other people?
Well, having a big ego doesn't get you nowhere.
Yeah, I tell you, there's a point in a marriage, in any relationship, in a business, in a band, I think, we're people that start early and then they grow. There's periods where you grow. It's like, the hourglass theory. You go out and come together, go out and come together. And if you can stick through the hard times when you're not relating to this person anymore and you think it's probably over, you think, wow, we just, I can't get along with this guy. And a lot of times you don't know what it is. It's ego, or it's something you're growing, they're not. They're going different directions. That the longer you stay together and go through those big humps, you'll come back together and get closer and closer and closer. And I found that I've been married a real long time, and it's like I've learned that, and that's longevity is a real important thing for bands. It's real important to let each individual in the band be themselves and not try to dogmatic be an ego and say, do this my way. Yeah. If you wanted to do it your way, then you shouldn't work with them. Right? You should work with people that you like what they do, and say, if I didn't like Eddie's guitar playing, it'd be stupid for me to be saying, hey, why don't you play like
yourself
this?
In a position where you want to change what people do.
Yeah.
You got to find people that like the same things you do. Otherwise, then obviously it ain't gonna work. Yeah. It's like you don't walk into a marriage expecting to change the bitch.
To make a man out of her. Say, man, think like me. Yeah. Then when she does, you go, hey, man, you're too goddamn masculine, man. I want a woman. And start over again. So it's like, let a woman be a woman, let a man be a man. Hey, there's a song there, man. It won't be like Jump, I promise you, man. I won't call you out in the middle of the night and sing this. Listen.
Anytime you want, I'll give you my number.
So I'll recite lyrics to you over the phone and go, yeah, well, sounds good. You going to sing those? Or you gonna talk?
Before you know it, it's on the radio. Someone else doing it.
That's it, man.
I got it.
You got
everything I need.
Anything not crossed out on there?
Anything else you want to cross? Anything else you guys want to cover?
Not me. I like to cover myself up and get back in bed, but can't do that.
This concludes part 2 of my 1987 interview with Eddie Van Halen and Sammy Hagar. In addition to the interview you just heard, we also did an interview with Eddie and Valerie on the limousine ride up, and then later on Sammy and I drove over to the photo shoot together, and I ran tape during our journey too. So look for these podcasts in the near future. If you like what we're doing and you want to help support Talking Guitar, please feel free to hit that donate button. Thank you. Before signing off, I also want to thank my podcast producer, Nick Hunt, who happens to be behind the camera at this moment. Hey, Nick. And this podcast is copyright 2023, all rights reserved. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time.